If you were to draw a line between the two farthest points on Earth, how would you explain that the people living at each end without ever knowing of each other told almost the same stories? They looked at the same sky, gave different names to the same stars, yet all searched for order, for meaning. One spoke of a great flood, another told of the wrath of rising waters. One said humans ate from the forbidden tree. Another said they stole a fruit that granted wisdom. In one place Prometheus was punished for bringing fire to mankind. Elsewhere Enki, the lord of water and wisdom, shared hidden secrets. Stories of gods descending from the sky, giants living underground, souls traveling to other realms. As if these tales were translated into different languages by a universal hand. Sometimes a serpent tempts humanity, sometimes a bird carries souls to the heavens. The forms change. The ears listening belong to different cultures, but the story feels familiar. That is why mythologies are not merely tales of the past, they are the universal memory of humankind. Are all these similarities just coincidence, or is there a shared structure deep within our minds? In this video we will explore why mythologies from all around the world resemble each other so strongly, why the names change but the stories stay the same, and we will try to uncover the bigger picture behind these patterns. So come with me, let's dive into the origins of myths and attempt to decode this shared map of consciousness. When we look through the lens of ancient stories, we see that humanity has always told the same core narratives. The hero sets out, ventures into the unknown, encounters obstacles, receives help, transforms, and returns. Every culture painted this universal skeleton with its own colors, but beneath it all, the story is always about a search. Take the flood stories, for example. In Mesopotamia, the gods grow weary of humanity and drown the world, sparing only Utnapishtim. In the Torah, God sends the flood due to humanity's wickedness, and Noah's Ark becomes the vessel of a new beginning. In Hindu mythology, Manu is warned by a fish, builds a boat, and survives the deluge. 3 continents, 3 cultures, yet almost the same narrative, or the tale of stolen fire. Prometheus brings fire and is punished forever. In Polynesia, Maui captures the sun to give humanity more time. Among the Native Americans, a fox or a spider god delivers fire and light to the people. What's shared is not only the plot, it's the emotional structure beneath humans' desire to change their destiny, to master nature, to bring light into darkness, and such a desire always has a price. In some myths, heroes are cursed. In others, gods become enraged. In some stories, once order is broken, nothing returns to what it was. Not only the events, but the character types echo each other. The wise old man, the trickster, the serpent-speaking woman, the hero with a hidden past, the demigod born from divine lineage. All of these feel like reinterpretations of a universal script written thousands of years ago. The nature of oral culture played a huge part in this repetition. Stories passed down through generations changed form, but kept their essence. Storytellers added their era's symbols and cultural motifs, yet the underlying skeleton remained intact. This is why myths about mountains born from gods in Mexico and worlds created from the bodies of giants in Norse mythology feel secretly related. Myths also built the emotional, moral, and social foundations of their people. Long before writing, humans used myths to make sense of the world. Thunder became a god's anger, drought a goddess's sorrow, death a punishment. Each myth was a mirror reflecting a society's relationship with the universe. The frames differed, but the reflection remained the same. These recurring patterns are not merely surface similarities. They are traces of how the human mind tries to understand the world. Behind the repetition lies not just coincidence or cultural diffusion, but a much deeper mechanism: archetypes. Carl Gustav Jung's idea of archetypes proposes that beyond our individual consciousness, the entire human species shares a common psychic structure. Just as we all share the same bodily organs, we are born with the same psychological blueprints. These blueprints generate certain images, themes, and stories again and again. That's why the hero's journey appears not only in Greek myths but in Japanese epics as well. Why the wise elder is not only Merlin but also Bilge-Eva, Loki, Odin, or the shamanic figures of Africa archetypes transcend time and place. They are symbols shaped by our deepest fears, hopes, and conflicts. And every myth is a language where these symbols speak. Jung's collective unconscious argues that humans are born with certain innate patterns of meaning. These patterns activate through life. A child does not need to be taught that darkness can be frightening. It's already embedded in a psychological memory written long before birth. Myths speak directly to that memory. To be lost in a dark forest, to face a dragon, to leave the womb and enter the unknown. These are symbolic reflections of the inner mind. The hero's journey follows an archetypal structure. The call, refusal, meeting the mentor, crossing the threshold, facing the shadow, receiving the reward, and returning home transformed. This universal cycle appears not only in Odysseus or Siddhartha or Gilgamesh, but even in modern films. Humans throughout history have faced the same questions. Who am I? Where did I come from? Where am I going? Why is the world this way? What lies beyond death? Archetypes attempt to answer these questions symbolically. The serpent as knowledge, the cave as the entrance to the unconscious, fire as both life and destruction. These reveal how deeply these images are rooted. But let's take a breath and rise to the surface. Beyond psychology and symbolism, why do humans tell similar stories? Because they live similar lives. They are born, grow, fall in love, get sick, lose, and contemplate death. A shepherd in the Sahara, a fisherman in Scandinavia, a nomad in Central Asia, each faces the same struggles. They look at the same sky. Shared experiences naturally produce shared emotions, and these emotions turn into stories. For hundreds of thousands of years, every human awoke into the same mystery and tried to make sense of it. Mythology emerges right here. The reason myths from around the world resemble each other is because humans view life from the same vantage point a shooting star falls. One says a soul has passed, another says gods are at war. Humans don't merely witness events, they seek meaning. And this meaning becomes myth. Consider the serpent again, sometimes it's wisdom, sometimes evil, always powerful, or fire-warming yet destructive, nourishing yet consuming. These contradictions reflect our inner world. Something we love can hurt us, someone we trust can betray us. Myths transform these emotional complexities into symbols. That's why the same images appear across cultures: the eagle, the serpent, the tree, the mountain, the cave, the sea. Different deities, same emotions, because these images already exist within us. Meaning travels through images, and the more universal the image, the more familiar the story becomes. Throughout history, people didn't just carry goods along trade routes, they carried beliefs and stories. A myth born in India traveled through Iran to Anatolia and reached the Greek coasts. A shaman's tale on the Mongolian steppes echoed in the sagas of Scandinavia. Many mythological figures that seem unrelated today actually share roots in ancient common narratives. The Hittite storm god Deshub and the Greek Zeus bear surprising similarities. The Sumerian Enki shares features with Hermes, Inanna with Aphrodite. Different eras, different names, same roles. These parallels come not only from shared psychology, but also from human migration. As people moved, their myths moved with them. When they settled in new lands, these stories blended with local traditions and transformed. A god gained a new name. A story gained new heroes, but the core remained. Stories traveled through trade, marriage, diplomacy, and through war, conquest, and forced belief. No matter how they moved, because stories are alive. They don't die when carried to a new culture, they evolve. The nomadic nature of myth binds humanity's memory like a chain. A tale heard in Anatolia may carry traces of a Central Asian legend. Egyptian deities may live on in Christian iconography through transformed symbols. Wherever humans went, they took their fears and hopes with them along with their gods. Storytelling in oral cultures strengthened this fluidity. Without writing, myths shifted with each retelling. The storyteller shaped the tale based on their understanding and their audience. One omitted a detail, another added a new character, another inserted personal experiences. A myth wasn't a text to be read, but a living organism. It was reborn every time it was spoken, and each birth altered it. This produced numerous variations. A hero who appears noble and honorable in one version may be cunning and ruthless in another. In oral culture, truth wasn't measured by consistency, but by emotional impact. The story that moved people the most was the truest. Thus, myths became evolving structures rather than fixed sources of information. Writing later stabilized some narratives, but never stopped the evolution. Even the earliest recorded myths diverged over time. No matter how ancient a story is, it reflects the worldview of its storyteller. Myths also formed a symbolic map of meaning, a map that spoke through images rather than words. Long before abstract language, humans thought in images. That is why symbols dominate mythology. Take the universal image of the tree. In Norse mythology, Yggdrasil connects the 9 realms. In Central Asian lore, the tree of life links heaven and earth. In Maya belief, the ceiba tree binds the underworld, earth, and sky. 3 continents, 3 eras, 1 symbol. Because a tree is more than a plant, it is continuity, a bridge between above and below, life and death. Or the cave, a refuge, a danger, a womb of transformation, a descent into the unconscious. Heroes enter caves not just physically but symbolically to face what they fear. The eagle holds special symbolic power as well, the highest flyer closest to the gods. In Rome it symbolized imperial divinity. In Native American cultures its feathers were sacred. The eagle rises not only physically but symbolically, leaving the material to approach the sacred. Symbols are not random. They are bridges between nature and the human mind. They work through intuition and association, giving myths their emotional impact. Perhaps all these similarities aren't coincidence. Perhaps the human mind takes similar paths when searching for meaning. To confront the same fears, to restrain the same desires, to shape the same unknowns. That's why myths, though geographically distant, share the same core. They try to understand nature, life, and the human soul. The heroes differ, but their journeys are almost identical. The gods differ, but their behaviors are familiar. Myths may be the ancient echoes of humanity's deepest questions. As long as we seek answers to who we are and why we exist, we will keep returning to these stories. Sometimes we find our contradictions in the anger of gods, or our own search in the journey of a hero. Myths are one of humanity's oldest ways of looking at the universe. No matter how advanced we become, the questions remain the same. That is why Mythologies' influence is still with us and why we continue to tell these stories. See you in the next video. Take care. Goodbye.